the dollar system, which will come. It depends on the prevailing attitude of the people, how we respond. It depends on the respect we have for our Constitution, understanding of Austrian economics. But I tell you, one example that you can look at to really try to understand this is to go back and look at the Resumption Act of 1875 after the Civil War period. Lincoln suspended the gold standard. He printed greenbacks. The gold price then went way up over $100 an ounce. It might have been up as high as $200 an ounce. And there was no convertibility. So with the Resumption Act, they said there would be a 3-year period. They would withdraw greenbacks. They would not expand spending. They would quit printing money. And they would balance the budget. Back then, there was a lot more trust in government. They said that, and people gained some confidence. And the market knew what was happening. After 3 years, the conditions would be set to reconvert the dollar at $20 an ounce. And that happened. The market, the price kept dropping down. On the day of resumption, there was a final day, the dollar and gold was $20 an ounce. And people went to the bank, and they wanted to know that the dollar was backed by gold. So they would put their money down and see that the gold was there. And most of them didn't take the gold. They would just take a certificate because they knew the certificate was good and gold was too heavy to carry. So it was the confidence that was restored, and it really was a non-event. It won't happen that way today. My idea of doing this is to legalize the Constitution and legalize a parallel standard. Allow gold and silver to circulate next to the dollar. And that way, people who don't trust the paper system and think their dollars might be wiped out can save their money in gold accounts or silver accounts and make contracts in gold and silver. In a way, Mexico, that too often we look down on and think that they're a backward nation, but they've done a couple things recently. One is they've modernized their drug laws, which is going to be a tremendous help on our border and hopefully in Mexico, and cut down the crime rate because they're not going to arrest people for almost any drug, which is small amounts that they hold. I think it's wonderful. But they've also legalized a competing currency. Mexican citizens, the middle class, have been wiped out so often with runaway inflation that they now are allowed to put their money in the bank and say, I want it in silver. If the peso goes to zero again, like it's done quite a few times, people who have the silver are going to come out all right. And I think that's a wonderful thing that has happened. So there's no easy answer and say, just do this and everything is going to be all right. Because under today's circumstances, our main problem is we spend too much, the deficit's exploding, the welfare state is exploding, the warfare state is continuing. Obama's not slowing up any of these things. He never pretended to slow up the welfare state. He indicated he'd like to come out of Iraq, which he isn't. He's expanding the war in Afghanistan. This is going to cause a lot more debt and a lot less enthusiasm to buy our debt, puts more pressure on the Federal Reserve to print this, so it's going to get a lot worse. So the sooner we come to the reality that there will be a new standard. If we don't win this, I know you're pessimistic about us winning this and it's difficult, but if we don't win this fight, they will come up with a new currency and it's going to be a world currency. It's going to be special drawing rights under the IMF or something like that. And believe me, if you think you've lost a lot of your rights and privileges with the federal government and what they do to destroy your money in the Federal Reserve System, you can imagine what it'll be like when the UN has control of a world central bank. The Hive